thank Miss Wendy Lindo for inviting me to be on her show. I really had a great time talking about my book, my experience here in the US. Thank you for being so welcoming. Such a great venue over here. It's so homey, it's so pretty. I will give it a 10 out of 10. Definitely for anybody out there to be part of the show as well. And thank you to Mr. Bernard for, all his expertise. So thanks again for having me. And please support the show, the Business Connections and the Wendy Lindo Show on the different YouTube and Facebook page.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Connections, where we help you promote your business and stay connected with people. So, for today's episode, I'm very excited because I have this young individual. He's a podcast host of Kiss My Mike, and he's also a producer of the upcoming movie. So, without further ado, let me introduce Mike Talplacido.
Thank you. Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited and I finally had a chance to meet you. So thank you. Looking forward to our conversation.
Well, I'm really excited. I know you came from North Carolina, came to LA to shoot a movie, which we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now let's talk about yourself. Who is Mike Talplacido? Tell the viewers and share your story, how you started being a podcast host and an author of a book and now a producer.
Yeah, no, wow. I mean, it's just amazing with everything that you've said, never in my life would I think that I'd be able to host a podcast and write a book. And now, venturing into writing and producing, the short film, which you mentioned. So in terms of my background, so I'm Mike Talplacido, so also known as Kiss My Mike. Who is Kiss My Mike? I think when I think about Kiss My Mike, I'm just a regular guy who happens to be Filipino, who happens to be a Filipino immigrant in America, who happens to be just pursuing his passion and his dreams, and those are the things that I'm trying, the podcasting, the writing, the book, and now with the short film as well. So I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot more kind of background wise where I grew up. I grew up in the Philippines, moved here in the US in 2003 at a young age of 23. And now, I've been here, I guess, for 18 years, I think.
18 years already.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that. When you first, you said you came here in the U.S. at the age of 23 years old. And then what was your first, job?
Yeah.
Because you're getting into entrepreneurship. So what was your passion before?
Very good question. Basically, growing up in the Philippines, sa atin, di ba, the choices for career, our parents always tell us, okay, you either go to medical school, you become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you become a teacher, engineer, or business. So for me, I took the business route. So I went to school in Manila at LaSalle. So I had a business management degree, and then after finishing college, I worked for a company called Andersen Consulting, which became Accenture. So my job was in IT. So I was an IT consultant. It was through that experience at Accenture or Andersen that I was able to travel to the US at first in 2001. So they sent us for training in Chicago in the middle of winter, January. And imagine, I think I was 21 at that age, and just seeing the different,
weather.
The weather, oh my God, the snow.
Yes.
And the shift from, it was 83 degrees sa Philippines, about 90 degrees.
To negative.
Yeah, negative. Tapos may biglang nag-snow.
Oo.
Yeah, I really felt that kind of wonder, like, oh my gosh, there's snow. So that was the first, I guess, visit to the US. And then eventually, in 2003, that's when I moved for good dito. So I was able to connect with people from my old work. There was one manager who ended up working for a startup that's based in in California.
Mm-hmm.
So he was COO, and then he basically helped me get the visa for to stay here and work
Mm-hmm.
here. So yeah, I was actually in California before 2003, 2004, and then eventually I moved to New Jersey, sa East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Still doing the IT job. The IT company eventually sponsored my green card,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, after a few years, gusto ko talaga mag-aral dito eh. So business talaga
Yun talaga yung dream mo.
yun yung dream ko dati.
Oo.
So, you know what I mean? Like, even when I was in college, I always
Is it
thought,
like owning your own business?
I think owning my own business, but also yung corporate image.
Okay.
Yung corporate America image na
Mhm.
naalala ko when I was in college, I used to watch movies about Wall Street.
Oh yeah, I
You
love
know,
this,
like they
yeah.
wear
Mhm. Suit.
the suit,
Yes.
and they're in New York,
Mhm.
ganyan. So, yun yung gusto kong mangyari. So nung nasa California ako, when I was working, I've always wanted to pursue this business path. Kaya nung nagkaroon ako ng green card, the first thing that I did was to apply for a business school. Sadly, actually, yung influence niya at that time, sikat yung show na The Apprentice.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so we're not gonna talk about who hosted that.
Yes.
But but that was kind of like my dream then, to be in the
Mhm.
business. And then luckily I was able to find a job then after nung New Jersey ko, and then nung what do you call this, when I went to business school. I had MBA at
Mhm.
University of North Carolina. So for me talaga, dream ko talaga na makapag-aral dito
Yes.
sa US, kasi doon ako nagtapos sa Philippines eh. High school, elementary, college. And then after that, doon na nag-start yung corporate career ko sa
Sa North Carolina.
North Carolina na.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, I worked for IBM, in the management position.
Mhm.
And then now I work for a healthcare company as the director of sales operations.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we're doing that, involved in clinical trials. But that's still my corporate side. And then outside of that is everything that you mentioned earlier.
We'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk about that.
Well,
Yeah.
you're a high achiever because you already went to school in Manila, and it's De La Salle. That's one of the
Yeah.
famous college in the Philippines. And now you also completed course for MBA.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And now I know I got your book. Kiss My
Yes.
Mike. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, of course.
So I kind of like read a little bit of your book. It says self-discovery. What do you
Yeah.
mean by that? What were like self-discovery on what?
Yeah.
On yourself?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, it's it's very much a journey towards accepting who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of my sexual identity, for instance, so if I look at the book, the different topics or themes of the book, it's about exploring the sexual identity, being LGBTQ, especially coming from a religious family.
Yes.
So a lot of my history there's really a lot of denial, and there's also rejection from
the
sometimes.
public and
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
Well, there's the public, there's the
Family.
family, the reputation of LGBTQ in the Philippines, diba? But I think it's getting better now, where we are perceived as professionals and we're equal.
Yes.
Kasi in the past it's not like that, diba?
It's not accepted.
It's not accepted. They always look down on them. So for me, because of that, there's a lot of fear for rejection, and so it's exploring the journey for me to be able to be comfortable about who I am in terms of that identity. But then beyond that, there's also the experience here in the US, the Filipino identity, the racial identity, and then ultimately the quest and the quest for love, relationships, and then going back to the identity that we talked about, and finding who you are, and being happy with that, and living your authentic life. So
That's very important, diba? Because I
Yeah.
have one guess. I asked about the identity because it's very it's very sensitive
Yeah.
issues, but everyone is slowly
Yeah.
trying to accept that. But
Yeah.
how hard it is for you going through that, because you
Mm.
said there's a lot of people that are against rejection, after
Yeah.
rejection. How your family finally
Yeah.
accepted?
No, I think the big part of the book was really about the family dynamics, especially since we have a very I came from a religious family. My dad is actually a lay minister
Mm-hmm.
now in our province, but then our my grandma in our province was also the president of Catholic Women's League.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that, and so naturally there's a lot of expectations
Of
also.
course, yeah.
In my book, actually, explore that one of the hardest part was experiencing rejection from some of my family members.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to a point that my oldest sister actually said to me that if you're not gonna change, then forget about us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really hard.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I was thinking, what did I do?
Yeah.
This is just me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always the insecurity that no matter how I try to achieve, no matter how much I try to excel in academics or my career,
Excellence, yeah.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's always something missing
Mm-hmm.
that I'm still not accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the actual rejection, but the hardest part was really just the hurt
Yeah.
inside
Yes.
and getting over that
Mm-hmm.
until I got to a point that I felt, you know what? It's time to really focus on myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to accept who I am. And if they're not ready for that, then, you
It's not
know, yeah,
problem.
it's their,
I think
yeah.
I saw that one, that there's a lot of things that people can say about
Mhm.
you, but you have to focus on yourself,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna grow as a person as well, and you're not gonna be happy
Yeah,
if all you do is listen to all these people that doesn't know
exactly.
you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard. And it's sometimes it's normal to be affected,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you care about those people,
Yeah.
like, your friends, your family. I think it was at that point when because that was the hurt yung kakilala mo, yung kapamilya mo, yung ganon.
Mm-mm.
And then after a while, parang nagkaroon ka na ng sarili mong strength na, you know what? You have to build yourself, and then, this is gonna be based on my terms. So
Oo.
if they don't accept me, then, I don't need you in my life.
That's
Parang ganon.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately naman, things got better. What the best part was, I just started living my own life. So I was already in New Jersey.
Oo.
If you get to the chapter about the New Jersey, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
there's a lot of juicy
Talaga?
stories
Sige nga.
dyan. Oo.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Give me one juicy story there.
Well, so, the part of the sexual identity in being LGBTQ, of course, going through dating, for
Mhm.
instance, and trying online dating, there's so many different kinds of relationships. I felt like I've gone through all of them. There's online dating, there's long distance relationships, there's the whole story about cheating and getting cheated
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
There's also like, some juicy stories.
Have you all experienced those?
Yes. You have to read
Okay.
it.
By the way, I got his book.
Uh,
As you can see, Kiss My Mic. Promote
Yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh. I have my friends telling me like, my God, Mike, like, grabe ka, ganyan, ganyan. But it's all in the past. And
Yes. It's a
Yeah.
learning experience.
it's a learning experience. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I was talking to my friend, like, because nowadays the time is very different,
Yeah.
right? You just don't go to a bar and then meet somebody. You don't know, the next day you're probably losing a kidney already.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube.
Yeah.
But like right now, the upcoming generation that's
Mm.
in the same situation, what can you advise them that are scared to get out from their
Mm.
closet and living? Alam mo yung
Yeah.
parang ang hirap na hirap sila. They just
Yeah.
wanna be out
I
and
know.
live the life that
Yeah.
like you. What can you give them?
Yeah. It's all I can say is that you're not alone, and because I have experienced that. I lived basically inside the closet, and there's always the feeling of, no matter what I do, kahit na mag-excel-excel ako sa mga kung saan-saan, parang it's always not enough.
Hindi ka fulfilled.
Hindi ka fulfilled kasi
Oo.
parang you're waiting for the validation
Oo.
for people and family. So I think what I would say is, um, be strong, and it's not easy to just say somebody, oh, why don't you just come out? Because there are so many different reasons.
Factors.
So yeah, so I don't always say, oh, just come out. Parang for me, it takes time, and then it's up to the person to really go through it, and hopefully they'll get to that point. Kasi that's the most important thing. For me, just think about, you'll be much happier, if you find your authentic self, and then you're free. I know it's hard because you feel like you're breaking your family, their hearts.
Yeah.
They will be heartbroken. Yeah, I think what I would say to, aside from people who are experiencing that, is probably for parents. I think maybe learn about how to react in those situations, because that goes a long ways. Like if I have my parents who, their reaction when I come out was like, oh my gosh, we already know, I think that's so much better than like, something else.
Yeah.
Right. So, I don't know. I think
Na parang itatakwil ka or susumpa di ba? Ganun yung nasa,
may mga
Ang hirap,
ganun.
no.
Mahirap.
I know there's a lot of people in that situation.
Yeah.
So those are your advice.
That's my advice.
Yeah.
And then seek help. If you have friends, talk to them. If you're in the Philippines or in the US, there are groups that, LGBTQ groups that help. I know in the Philippines, they are also very active, that are more focused on really helping each other, counseling, and really just learning from experiences.
And actually, that book will also inspire those people
I hope
that going
so.
through. That's why maybe you wrote this book, diba? It will inspire and give light, shed light to all these people that going through the same situation. Have you find love na?
Yes, spoiler alert, yes.
Are you single? No more an online dating.
No
na
more,
yan.
no more. Those are all in the past.
In the past.
Yes. But, with the book kasi, so it's also going through my experience here in the US. So from basically California, New Jersey, North Carolina. In each location, there's always a love story.
Wala yung sa Chicago nung nag-umpisa
Wala
ka?
pa.
Bata ka pa noon.
Bata pa si Nene.
Bata pa noon. So
I
talaga
know.
nag-umpisa yun dun sa New Jersey. Lahat yung story na yan.
I think meron din sa California.
Okay.
Pero talagang kasi feeling ko kasi nung nasa New Jersey ako, para akong I was on the top of the world. Kasi I was in my 20s. 24.
Ayun ang tatanong ko.
Diba?
Paano ba ma-in love kayo? Yan ang gusto ko eh. Pareho ba ng kababaihan kagaya namin na ganun din ba ma-in love? Na pag mahal na mahal mo, na parang mamamatay ka pag iniwan ka?
I would say, I think fundamentally it's the same emotion. Of love, right? And in each person does it differently, right? So if you love somebody, you can assume the position of being the caretaker, right? So in the LGBTQ relationship, one person could be that. And then on the other hand, gusto mo yung ikaw yung nurture.
Yeah.
Diba? It's possible, But I think fundamentally, being in love, I think it's all about finding happiness. And, I think it's that, I can't explain it sometimes, parang yung soulmate na you found home.
Oo, tama yan.
But it took a while kasi, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being single either. Other people choose that, they have other ways to show love towards themselves and towards other people.
Totoo.
So, ayun.
At saka alam mo, medyo nakikita ako, yung mga sa LGBTQ, parang mas longer nga yung relationship nila kesa sa man and woman na married.
I'm not sure of the statistics, but and maybe it depends on age as well.
On age,
yeah.
Okay.
And also, like for me, I've already been with my partner for 10 years. Since 2011 na.
10 years
10
na.
years? Oh, yeah. 10 years na. And then I was talking to another friend of mine yesterday who is part of our film. And he's in a relationship also, LGBTQ, and he's based in LA.
Wow.
And they've been together for 4 or 5 years. So we actually were joking like, oh my gosh, that's great. Because in LGBTQ years, that's equivalent to like 30 years,
Totoo.
Yeah, but then I think I've been outside of the scene.
Oo.
So I don't know enough kung people are,
Statistics.
yeah,
Oo.
if people are more into relationships or they're still kind of the fling and the hookups. I think it's possible that it still exists. When I was younger, I've seen that, the flings and just meeting someone randomly, and it's nothing serious.
Oo.
So I hope I answer your question by saying I
Yeah.
don't know enough. Yeah.
Pero how did you feel when especially in California, parang may na-accept na yung parang wedding between, two
Yeah.
men or two
Oh,
women.
yeah.
How was your reaction when you heard about that
Yeah.
law?
Of course, I'm so happy about it because, I think it's a testament for me. It's symbolical that we're all equals, right? That's why I support that. It's interesting because I was already living in North Carolina when things started to change. So, North Carolina is a southern state.
Yes, yeah.
Mas madaming conservative doon.
Conservative, yes.
So, parang ang feeling ko, at some point, para bang I went back inside the closet kasi parang, oh my gosh, ang mga conservative ng mga tao dito.
Oh,
Pero that was after my New Jersey life.
yes,
Kasi sa
yes.
New Jersey, parang all out na ako eh. Tapos biglang lumipat ako North Carolina, parang, uy, natameme na naman ako.
Oo.
So actually, it was that time na may mga protest against that.
Oo.
So na-experience ko na, oh my gosh, why are they protesting against this? So that they can tell me that I can't be with whoever I want.
Yeah.
It just felt so hurtful. Parang, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Right? All I want is to be with the same person.
Someone that you love.
Someone that I love the
Yeah.
same way that you would want to be with another person.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
And so that was a phase. And then eventually it got better when all the good news happened. We're celebrating. But I think it's always good to look back then, on especially the people now. Let's not take this for granted, right? So let's continue to be thankful
Yeah.
and help each other. So I think that's my answer to your question. So
Amazing. So before my next question, why don't we promote your book?
thank you.
The,
Yes.
I know. Kiss My Mic. And also tell the viewers where they can find you.
Yeah. So just go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, and also Apple Books. So the book is available in a paperback format, which is what Wendy has. So you can get it in the printed copy, or you can get it as an ebook. So it was published this year, 2021. Yeah, I hope you like it, and that's where you
What
can
about
get
your
it.
Instagram and Facebook?
Yes, and also you can check me on Instagram at kissmymic20. I have a website called kissmymic.com, and then with other social media handles, I'm on Facebook, and also I have a podcast, which you can search on Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the streaming devices. Just search for Kiss My Mic.
And
Yeah.
where they can purchase your book?
My book,
Yes.
mainly Amazon and then Barnes and Noble.
Amazon.
Yeah.
With all these things that's going on, where do you get your days off?
It's funny because I'm very organized. So I use the actual notebooks to work on my to-do list. I always have sections like, okay, if this is one page, like the first quadrant, 1/4. Okay, these are my to-do list for the book. And then here's my to-do list for, let's say the script, short film.
Okay.
So I keep track of that. I mean,
Do you have any assistant that helps you?
no, I wish I have. There are some people that are helping me. Like, for instance, my younger sister. Shout out to my younger sister. They're doing my editing.
I
So,
see.
the
Because you will
yeah.
need help.
Yes.
So let's talk about the other activities that you're doing.
Yeah.
You just produce a new short film.
Yes.
And let's talk about that short film.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to talk about this because we're actually in the middle of production right now. The film is called The Perfect Couple. So it's a film that I wrote and executive produced with my producing partner, Enrico Banson, who is the director. care of the Lumos Films production team. So basically, the story, it explores themes about family, Filipino American family here in the U.S., and also wedding, so wedding themed, and also about relationships. So I think the idea started with hearing a lot of stories about second generation immigrants. Yung mga kids ng mga Filipinos. They always feel like there's so much pressure for them to meet the expectations of their parents to be perfect, right? So, if I'm a father or a mother, I always tell my kid, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a nurse, you need to be an engineer, and so it's really the expectation imposed on children to be perfect. But it's a love story, and it's a wedding themed. Think of it as like our own version of my big fat Greek wedding, but it's Filipino Americans. So we're very excited. We have a wonderful cast, and as I've said, we're in the middle of filming here in LA this week.
Can we disclose some cast?
Of course, the cast members have been announced already. If you go to my IG, or we have an IG also at the Perfect Couple Film. So basically, the story is it's about so the synopsis is when a Harvard graduate met a successful young doctor, their Filipino immigrant families thought that it was a match made in heaven. But on the day of the wedding, they discovered so many secrets.
Oh, don't say it.
No,
Okay,
that will,
yes. Oh,
that's the hook. So
I like that.
Yes.
How come you didn't get me as one of your... I'm just kidding.
We're
Pag
still,
second
we're still,
second pa ako yan.
mag-sequel
Movie.
tayo.
Oh, sige, sequel. Ano kayo magandang titles sa
Diba?
akin?
Sige, pag-isipan natin ng
Pag-isipan
title.
natin yung gusto ko yung mga love story.
Perfect na lang. Wag na yung perfect couple. Perfect.
Perfect.
Oo.
Ganun. I like
Diba?
that. Pero I really wish you with all the things you said, you're so blessed. A
Thank
lot
you.
of things coming to
Yeah.
you. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? You're young.
Yeah. I don't feel young sometimes, but but I am happy and thankful. And I also want to say that it's not easy. There's always challenges, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I always just try to, focus on the positive. Sometimes it's hard, right? You get affected by it. It doesn't mean that there's no issues or stress
Of
or
course,
headaches.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You just make it look easy for them.
Tinatago na lang.
Ganun naman talaga, di ba? Because every time I read magazines, like parang a billionaire, millionaire, parang they only see the value nila, but they don't see the hard work, or the behind the scene, what they've been going through,
Correct.
while they're building their empire. Yeah.
There was an image that I saw. It's very very stereotypical image. But have you seen this picture? Yung parang ocean, and then you have a giant rock. And then you don't see the rest of the rock below.
Yes. Yung parang
They only see the top, but then everything
parang iceberg.
Exactly. Ganon.
But all the yung mahirap nandun sa pinababa to get through the top, diba,
Yes,
tier.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
but how do you handle those challenges?
The
How can you
challenges.
still move forward with all the things na parang gusto mo pa rin gawin kahit nakikita mo everyday? Parang diba hirap naman talaga.
Yeah. I mean, allow yourself to have time to feel the pain sometimes, to process the rejection.
Yes.
It's okay to do that, to take a break. And then I think how I handle it, I just take one step at a time. I think there's just so much passion inside of me to really see it happen the same way as you, as I can see with your show, for instance, with all the projects you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's for me, it's the belief that if I don't do it, I will regret it. That's the same thing I did with the book. So I think it's that idea in my mind that I want to see it and to give me the fulfillment, because otherwise I will regret it, and I don't want to grow old.
Yeah.
80 years old
Totoo yan.
and feeling like,
How
my
come I
God.
didn't
Yeah,
do
exactly.
it?
And even if you fail, it's okay. right?
Yeah.
At least you tried
Learning
it.
curve yan eh. That's how
Yeah.
you grow as a person.
Yeah.
And who is your parang support system? Because hindi naman natin kaya nito, di ba? Na parang tayo
Mm-hmm.
lang. Like me, here in the show, I
Yeah.
have Bernard with me. I have other people to really
Yeah.
check the lights, the audio,
Yeah.
everything. But who is the main person that
Mm-hmm.
really helps
my
you?
my soulmate and my love, my partner, he was based in North Carolina. His name is Chris,
Mm-hmm.
and I also wrote about. He's in my book also,
Mm-hmm.
but he's my home.
Yeah.
So every time I think of like a picture, it's a picture of us. Because yung area namin sa North Carolina medyo country eh.
Mm-mm.
So medyo tahimik.
Mm-mm.
Right now, we do a lot of gardening.
Yeah,
So
I like
nagtatanim kami
that.
ng mga kung
Mm-hmm.
ano-ano,
Mm-mm.
mga kamatis, mga ganyan. So
Nice.
tapos meron pa kaming mga manok. We have chickens.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, invite mo ako dyan ah. May pinapagawa siyang mansion.
Hindi naman. Nag-upgrade ng konti pero yes.
Upgrade daw, pero ilang hectares?
Hindi ko alam,
Yes,
hindi ko mabilang.
I've been wanting to go to that
Yeah.
state.
No.
That's where Dawson's Creek, di ba?
No, nag-film. They have
They film.
they have a small film community near us. So I actually did some extras as an extra. Some of the films that were made there. So that's
Talaga?
generally speaking na nagkaroon ako interest in sa writing and producing. I was on Halloween yung recently with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Talaga?
Yes.
Nandun ka? Sino ka doon?
Extra
Baka
lang.
naman nakamask ka din.
Hindi, pero
Sige, pakita
screenshot
natin
ko.
yan.
Oo.
Talaga? Congratulations ah.
Wala, saglit lang yun.
Artistahin ka talaga.
Hindi.
Well, you know what? That's something, di ba? I mean, in the community,
Yeah.
talagang you're gonna be inspired kung ano yung environment mo eh.
Yeah.
And
True.
how do you like being in North Carolina?
I love it. I mean, honestly, there are pros and cons, of course, right? Because it's not a big, we're not like, we don't have the LA vibe, for instance. But at the same time, gusto ko na rin yung quiet eh, yung peace and quiet. I think the good thing is, I'm still able to enjoy that, being in a peaceful situation and then focus on my writing.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you.
But then there's a network here in California, New York, our Filipino community that you can still talk to and collaborate with. So that for me is the right balance of having the peace and quiet, and at the same time the access to the community to work on projects together, including the perfect couple and the podcast as well and
That's
others.
true.
So
Ang galing.
yeah.
Any other things after the parang short film mo? Meron ka na bang naka-ready pang mga other projects?
Oh yeah, I never run out of ideas.
Oh nga,
You
you told
know.
me earlier.
Yeah. I mean, after the short film, I'm doing another book. That I've written already, but I have to finish it, and then I'd like to do traditional publishing for that. I want to submit it to agents and others. And then I think there's also the interest to write another screenplay. Kasi yung sinulat ko, short film lang siya eh. So I want to write another one. And I've talked to some people already who might be interested in, collaborating with that also. But really, I'm gonna be in the research phase kasi with my writing process, I take a lot of time researching. Like for instance, with the book, it took me about 2 years.
2 years yan.
Yeah,
Ano, so what do you do on your spare time? Don't tell me you're still writing, and how do you want to spend yung parang time mo naman
Time.
with your loved ones?
Yeah. Something simple, we just like to go out here and there, try different foods, and we have 2 dogs. So, and then we hang out with the chickens. Honestly, it's
Yun talaga yung mga babies nyo, ha?
baby. May mga names sila.
Talaga?
Oh, yung mga chickens.
Oh, wow. Ang cute naman.
Yeah. So their names are, we have, we used to have Mary Kate and Ashley. Kasi
Twins
twins
pa.
sila.
Twins.
Oo, diba? And then right now we have Mariah.
Wow.
Mga divas eh.
Oh, diva.
Oh, si
So
Mariah, Dolly. But they're laying eggs, which is really good. So,
laying eggs. So,
Yeah.
yun din yung breakfast nyo.
breakfast,
Ang
oo.
sarap
We try to
naman.
be
Organic.
organic, oo. Yung mga gulay, mga ganyan.
Oo.
galing sa garden, mga kamatis,
Nice.
ganun.
Oh.
Talaga, ang daming natutunan, which is really good.
Are you
So,
also looking on in the future, ha? Kasi you said a podcast, ano ka eh, di ba? Author, writer, and producer. How can you help the Filipino community or other ethnicity like to
yeah.
be like you in your level? Do you have any parang future na parang master class to
Oh my
or
gosh.
YouTube that can help
Um,
other people?
I mean, I think I can help by similar to you, using your platform to share the stories, so that people can talk about what we do, right? So
Mm.
I have the podcast, and I'm very happy with the people that have been on the show. And I love to promote and elevate, Filipinos and Asian Americans, especially those who may not have the platform, right?
Capacity.
Yung mga ganon. So, I'm happy to feature so many people to be guests as well. And then, like with the short film, for instance, I'm always up for collaboration.
Mm.
Either if you're an actor, for this film, a lot of them I've just met, through connections.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you've used Clubhouse before, the audio app. I think 80% or 60%, sorry, 80% of the cast probably people I met through there.
From the clubhouse?
From the Clubhouse, yeah. And then it just expanded from there. They were on my podcast, and then we got introduced to other people. So yeah, I think those are the things that I want to do to continue collaborating. Really, for me, I want to write. I want to create stories. If I can produce, that's great. But I'm, welcome to partner, with other producers as well, and
Collaborate with
collaborators
you.
and directors, right?
Mm.
So that they can take my story, and then we can collaborate together to bring it to life.
Do you
And
see
then,
yourself in Cannes festival?
I don't know yet. I mean, honestly, right now we're excited to see the film first na matapos kasi this week yung shooting namin. Tapos after that, post-production na.
Post-production.
Oo, medyo matagal pa. But we definitely would love to submit next year sa mga film
Why
festivals.
not, diba? You said
Oo.
nga, dream big.
Dream
Diba?
big,
Dream
yes.
big.
Yeah,
You never know.
because I think it's a good story, and we definitely want to share it to the world. And hopefully one of these days, in the future, we'll get to see it in some of the networks as well.
Yes,
So
that's true.
yeah, so the business connections, right?
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you talaga. Thank you, Mike, for coming here.
Yeah.
You have to drive all the way from LA.
Yeah.
And then after this, you have to go to another shoot.
Yeah.
Diba? So, last question. Do you have any parang favorite quote?
Favorite quote. I think I don't have anything in particular, but I do love quotes in general, inspirational quotes about hard work and all that. One thing that I remember that I, basically got stuck with me was when I was writing this quote from Maya Angelou, and she said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." Parang you have
Powerful
to
yan.
release it. You have to do it, and otherwise, it's just gonna be so much pain to keep it inside, and you'll regret it if you don't do it. So, I think that's one thing. Maybe one thing that really made a difference in my life. So yeah.
Nice. I love my Angelou. Siya yung mentor din ni Oprah.
Oh, I know, right? Yes.
I saw that. And that's a powerful message and quote. And thank you. Do you have any other things that you wanted to share to viewers before we will end the show?
No, nothing. I think I just want to thank you, Miss Wendy, for inviting me to be part of your show. And thank you for creating this opportunity to promote people like myself to share our stories and, for really connecting the, people. So
You and your partner or your other casting, director or artist are welcome here.
yes, definitely.
So, yes, I'll see you,
Yeah.
more of you. And there's a lot of things coming.
Yeah.
And thank you again, Mike. And I'll see you soon.
All right.
Again, thank you to all my TBC viewers. And if you would like to watch our interview with Mike Talplacido, please follow us at The Wendy Linda Show on Facebook. And I also have a YouTube channel, The Wendy Linda Show. So magkita-kita po tayo next week.